Hi there and welcome to another episode of the Human Factor Security Podcast with me, your host, Jenny Radcliffe. Today I am delighted to welcome two very special guests to the show for a special short recording of the podcast. Welcome to Linda James, MBE, and to Lucy Howard of BulliesOut. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Now, I just wanted, I have heard about BulliesOut and I'm going to start working with you guys very soon as an ambassador because this is a very important charity. Linda, if you don't mind, would you just explain quite briefly what you guys do?
Sorry about the strepsil, Jenny.
Linda's got a bad cough and a cold, so we're bearing with you.
BulliesOut is an anti-bullying charity. And we work across the UK supporting anybody affected by bullying. Children, young people, parents, adults at work, anyone affected by bullying.
And Lucy, this has, we might be familiar with the children's side of things, but has an adult dimension as well, like as Linda says, doesn't it?
It does. So, I mean, people in their workplaces, they're suffering from workplace bullying. But the problem with workplaces is, unfortunately, the stereotype is this is an issue you see in playgrounds. And so a lot of people, when they're going to work and experiencing bullying, and particularly the exclusion side of it, they aren't understanding that what they are suffering from is not part and parcel of going to work, and that it's actually bullying. And the impact on a person of bullying, on mentally, physically, and what it does to them as a person can be incredibly draining on how they are then in the workplace and their productivity. And, if we went into any workplace and spoke about the impact of bullying, they would bite our hand off to come in and resolve the issue.
There's a financial impact and the productivity impact.
But unfortunately, if I went into that same management board and I said, can I discuss workplace bullying with you? Unfortunately, it's just not seen as an issue. And we're here to try and join the two up and make people understand the severity of the issue of workplace bullying, not just on the individual, but for the organisation itself.
And let's say, I mean, seen as a playground issue, Linda, I mean, what prompted you to start the charity in the first place?
Bullied myself as a child, had negative effects on me for a very, very long time. And then my younger son was badly bullied at school. And he suffered a major panic attack and was put in an oxygen tent, driving him to school one day. And then I wanted him to talk about it. And he said, well, I will, but I'm not talking to anyone face to face, typical like 11-year-old. But I'll speak online because I've got 3 sons and there's 12 years between my younger son and my second son. So the older 2, who are now sort of 40 and 39, didn't grow up with the internet.
No.
He did. And he said, I'll speak online. And I couldn't find an online forum. And he said, well, you've studied all of that stuff about helping people. Lovely way to put it. But he said, so just set up a forum then.
Oh.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
You mentioned there, Linda, that your younger son grew up with, the internet and everything. The internet changed the scope of this, didn't it? I mean, there was bullying when I was at school. There was no internet then, but now it makes things travel further and quicker.
Yeah.
And
I think we were so excited, weren't we, when we got the internet, because we could do so much with it. And, I mean, you didn't have to use one of those typewriters. But then I used to write my essays by hand when I did all my English.
I can't even do it anymore. Nobody can write anymore. You've lost the muscles.
I went to university quite late because of what happened to me years ago. But writing all my essays by hand and then a typewriter, and then all of a sudden you've got this resource, which is like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then this dark side starts slipping in to this amazing resource that we have. And, now it's even worse. It seems to get darker and darker and darker. And although it's still an amazing resource, that dark side just takes away what we have. It really does.
There's a lot of poison and kind of toxicity, isn't there? That I guess affects people, young people as well as communities and everything else.
And for each generation, it just seems to be worse. It just seems to get more toxic. It was bad when my son was growing up. I mean, he's 26 now, but for this generation, it's even worse. It's even more toxic. So what's it going to be like? I've got granddaughters ranging from 12 to babies. What's it going to be like? There's 2 different generations for them. I just dread to think about it. How is it going to get worse? Is it, you could just drive yourself senseless worrying about it.
So it's about supporting people who are bullied, and then it's also about supporting the people and sort of getting to the bottom of the cause of bullying for people who we would label bullies in school and work as well. Is that right?
Yeah, because, they don't display that behaviour for nothing. 99.9% of them don't. There's always a reason why somebody displays bullying behaviour. And if we can't get to that root cause, and if we can't support them to change their attitudes, their behaviour, their mindset, help whatever is going on in their world, we're not going to break that bullying cycle.
That would take into the workplace then?
Of course.
Is that what you see, Lucy? There's they were bullies, and people maybe were bullies in school. It was never addressed. They were never advised. And then does it go into the workplace and into adulthood then?
So, I mean, it stands to reason if we, if you take a really straightforward example of, kids in a playground, bullying, say one's physically bullying 2 or 3, as a result, they no longer want to play with that individual because that individual is physically bullying them. So they start to leave out that individual. They are then excluding that individual. And so you see it in just a very straightforward example of how one bullying behaviour perpetuates another. Yeah. But that behaviour, if that's all they know, it stands to reason that then as they grow up into adulthood, they will continue in those behaviours. So, I mean, charities like us, that focus on trying to work with the bully as well as the person who's bullied, and try and help develop coping strategies for them, and look at the way that they are managing their relationships. If we can work with them as well, then we can work with both sides and hopefully sort of change that and put a barrier in so that cycle can't keep going around.
Well, we are. I'm hoping we can put this out so that some of the community, the InfoSec community, the hacking community in the UK and beyond can maybe help support you guys a little bit, because I think the cyber element's very strong, as Linda says right now, can be very destructive. See it in our own community as well. So, what can people do to get involved and to help?
The first thing we would say is, if you know of anybody that is affected by bullying in any way, child, parent, adult at work, then please send them the link to our e-mentoring service and let them get some help and support.
And we'll put that along the bottom.
Yeah, our mentors are an amazing team, and they can just work with a person for as long as it needs. There's no set time on this at all, and yeah, that's the first thing. Let's get some people the support they need. Then somebody might have some time, they want to volunteer with us. And I know it's tough at the moment there's still some COVID restrictions around and things, but there's always, we've always got things that volunteers can do. They might want to fundraise for us, become a member for just £5 a year. Everything that a person wants to do will always help a charity. Even things, just constantly sharing the posts that Lucy puts out on social media, following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It all helps to sort of, get us out there. The more people who follow us, of course, it shows up on their social media, doesn't it? And that's a positive side to social media, which is what we want to try and flood the internet with, all the positives rather than the negatives.
Absolutely. Well, what is the Instagram handle, Luce, and the Twitter handle, and what are those? And we'll put those up as you say in them. So what's the Instagram? It's at BulliesOut?
At BulliesOut UK.
At BulliesOut UK. And sorry, go on.
our main issue as an anti-bullying charity is that, by and large, if people look for us at that time of need, it's when they need us. So what we almost need from communities like yourselves is to get us out there in advance, so that when somebody is suffering, that they know where to come for help, so that they're not suddenly in that abyss of, well, where can I go? What can I do?
Okay.
They'll already know about us because they'll have seen us voted, and they might even be following us, and that's what we need, is to just raise awareness of us and get our name out there.
So it's at BulliesOut UK on Insta. It's the same on Twitter.
No, at BulliesOut on Twitter.
At BulliesOut on Twitter. So we'll put these up. So this is the cry for help, guys. What we can do first of all is, if we can follow and share at BulliesOut for these different social media tags that we're going to flash up on here now, so that you see them. If we can follow those. So at BulliesOut on Twitter, at BulliesOut UK on Instagram, and then it's the BulliesOut. What is it on Facebook?
Oh, it's massive. It's BulliesOut working with the bully and bystander. It's a massive name.
All right, we'll put an image there, and but if we can make sure that those are followed and shared, and then the chances are that somebody, we want to improve the chances that if someone find themselves at the end of bullying, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's as a young person or a child, even at school, that they know that it's there, they can see it, and they've got that first place, that first refuge to go, and maybe we can nip some of this in the bud. So that's how we can help, first of all. And secondly, we're going to be talking about this a lot more on the show, and I'm going to be talking a lot more about BulliesOut and the work they do and trying to support them. So you can still watch that from me. If you watch all my channels, which hopefully you do, you're going to see me talking about this a lot more, because I was very honoured to be asked to help, and so of course I'm going to do that. So for now, thank you again, and thank you ladies so much, because this is the second time we've done this interview this morning, because I stupidly forgot to press record, and you were both complete pros, and thank you so much. It's the perils of kind of working too late and doing too long hours, and we all need to, just shows that I need to focus a little bit more. So that lovely guests like yourselves, who are so understanding, can be so professional. But for now, everybody follow our advice, follow BulliesOut, and thank you so much to Lucy Howard and to Linda James, MBE, the third MBE I've had on my show, for taking part and telling us about the brilliant work you do. We really appreciate it, and your service. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you.